Congratulations, it's a boy, a loud one. You arrive during a thunderstorm and immediately make a scene. Not a cry, not a whimper, but a sound somewhere between a shriek and a battle cry. The midwife tries to wrap you in linen. You bite her thumb and hold on. She calls you a devil. Your grandmother calls you spirited. Your father calls for ale. By your second day alive, you've head-butted a candle, spat milk at a monk, and stolen the family cat's dinner. You sleep with one eye open and growl when touched. The priest tries to bless you. You throw up on his shoes. He says it's a sign. No one's sure of what. You don't crawl, you lunge. By the time you're 3, the village rooster avoids you. You bark at fog. You collect shiny rocks and whisper secrets to them. You've already stolen 2 spoons for onions and the neighbor's comb. When asked why, you reply, "The rats told me to." No one laughs, mostly because they've started seeing rats in places they shouldn't be. Your favorite toy is a rag doll you've stuffed with straw and named the plague. You kiss it before bed and keep it under your tunic. Your mother finds this disturbing. Your grandmother says it builds character. She also says she saw a rat salute you once, by age 5. You've declared war on the family cat. The cat did not consent to this war. It flees every time it sees you, which is hard, because you've taken to hiding in cupboards and ambushing anything with whiskers. You call this military training. You refer to your bed as the war tent. You refer to your breakfast as rations and demand it be served in a wooden bowl fit for a prince. When asked what prince, you grin and say, "Of the rats." No one's sure where you got that idea. Then again, no one's sure where you got most of your ideas. Like the time you smeared garlic on your face because you overheard someone say, "It repels evil." You said you were testing it on yourself. It did not work. The baker has banned you twice. Once for stealing yeast. Once for eating it raw and burping at customers. You've also been banned from the apothecary after attempting to trade to dead flies and a piece of string for a jar of honey. You called it royal currency. The apothecary called it theft. Your only friend is a rat named Balthazar. You found him in the barn, standing on a pile of barley like he owned the place. You extended your hand. He did not bite you. You took this as a sign of friendship. Now he rides in your tunic, steals crumbs from your pocket, and gnaws patterns into your wooden toys. You've declared him your royal advisor. The village priest has tried to exorcise you 3 times. The 3rd time, you bit him again and told him the spirits were under new management. After that, he switched to just muttering prayers when you walk by. You smile when he does this. It feels like respect. Your family doesn't discipline you anymore. They tried, they really did, but every punishment turned into an experiment. Sent to the corner, you licked the wall. Sent to bed, you snuck out and returned with 6 beetles and a story about a haunted outhouse. No one has used the outhouse. Since one afternoon, during supper, you announce that you've married a toad. You don't elaborate. No one asks questions. Your grandmother nods solemnly. Your mother weeps softly into her turnip stew. You start carrying a spoon everywhere. Not for eating, for dueling. You challenge rocks, chickens, and once a sack of flour that insulted your honor by falling on your head. You won that duel. The flour never stood a chance. You begin referring to yourself in the 3rd person. The prince is hungry, you declare. The prince needs cheese. The prince declares bedtime treason. This would be concerning, except it's oddly persuasive. You've convinced your uncle to give you his shoes and a passing merchant to salute you. There's a sickness in the village now. People cough in the streets, clutching their bellies and pointing at nothing. You don't seem concerned. You say, "The rats told you it was coming." You also say you're immune because Balthazar bit me on purpose. This is not reassuring. One night you sneak into the abandoned mill and smear soot on your face. You return home at dawn wearing a string of garlic cloves and a crown made from mouse bones. When your mother asks what you're doing, you say, "Preparing for war." She stops asking after that. You spend your mornings training in the goat pen. You run laps, tackle hay bales, and yell at crows. The goats are terrified of you. Your father says you'll grow out of it. Your grandmother says you're growing into it. The healer gives up trying to keep track of your bruises. She hands you a salve and says, "Apply it when you stop moving." You never do. When the village well runs dry, you blame it on a curse and try to dig your own with a spoon. You get 4 inches deep and find a beetle. You declare it a water spirit and ask it for wishes. A traveling friar tries to teach you scripture. You teach him how to catch rats with bread. He leaves after 2 days, slightly paler and missing a boot. By your 8th birthday, your legend has spread. Farmers lock up their cheese when you're nearby. Bakers pretend they're closed. You once coughed dramatically and 6 people fled the room. You liked that. You've made a flag for your kingdom. It's a piece of torn tunic with a rat skull sewn to it. You plant it in the center of the barn and declare it sacred land. Balthazar approves, and, while other children hide from the plague, you sharpen spoons, train mice, and whisper to the shadows, because the prince is rising. You wake with straw in your ears, garlic in your hair, and Balthazar, the rat, nibbling the corner of your ear like he's tasting royalty. You sit up, brush off a beetle the size of nobility, and declare it is a glorious morning for mischief. Outside, the village coughs itself awake. Bells toll low and slow from the chapel. The butcher's boy is already vomiting behind the stable. You walk barefoot through the mud like a prince inspecting his holdings. You wear your royal cloak, an old potato sack with armholes cut by spoon, and on your head sits the crown of mouse bones. Still slightly damp from the last rain, you march through the village with a rat in your collar, a spoon in your belt, and the sort of confidence reserved for tyrants and toddlers. You stop in the square, plant your flag in the mud, and shout, "The rat court is now in session." No one attends the rat court. They did once, just to see what it was. The miller came out of curiosity and left with fleas. The blacksmith was appointed minister of cheese without consent. The baker's apprentice tried to laugh and was sentenced to 4 spoon duels. The 4th one broke a window. Now the village simply nods and avoids eye contact. You pace before your flag and scowl at the clouds. The sky today is grey, swollen, and dramatic. Perfect. You raise your spoon like a scepter and begin today's declarations. All pigs shall be addressed as Sir. All cheeses shall be guarded. All goats that give side-eye shall be exiled to the northern fence. Balthazar squeaks. You nod solemnly. Also, you add, today is a war day. The rats have been whispering, not literally, probably, but you hear them all the same. They scurry like diplomats across rooftops and into bread boxes, carrying crumbs and prophecy. And the prophecy is this: something worse is coming. You already feel it in your bones. Or maybe it's the spoiled turnip stew from last night. Either way, it's time to prepare. You return to your fortress, the abandoned chicken coop where you store your treasures: 3 bent spoons, a chipped candlestick, a mouse tooth, and a map you made of the village using charcoal and a sense of adventure. You've drawn red X's where the coughing is worst and circled houses that smell like onions. Your war plan is simple. Build an army, secure provisions, and bite anything that looks suspicious. You begin with recruitment. Your first stop is the pigsty, where Sir Snoutington III resides, a large, grumpy pig who once ate half your tunic and has since earned your respect. You offer him an oatcake. He declines by stepping in it. You take that as a yes. Next, you seek the Crow Council. 3. Large crows roost above the tannery, and you are convinced they are spies. You bow to them, offer a shiny button, and recite your formal greeting. Hark, winged watchers of rot. Join me, and you shall feast on victory and entrails. They stare in silence. One blinks. You take this as an oath of loyalty. Recruitment is going well. Back at your fortress, you scribble new names on your scroll of allies. Sir Snap, the Crow Council, Balthazar, and, somewhat optimistically, the Spirit of Garlic. Now you need supplies. The baker's shop is closed, but not locked. You sneak in through the window like a whisper and emerge with 2 stale rolls, a lump of salt, and a full body of flour. You sneeze yourself into a bush and call it camouflage. From the apothecary, you collect 3 suspicious herbs, a leech jar empty, and a scroll that might be a recipe or a confession. You add them to your war chest and label them plague bombs. You don't know what they do, but that makes it more exciting. That night, you gather your army, yourself, the rat, the pig, in spirit, and the imaginary garlic ghost, and stand atop the well with a candle stub and a battle cry. To the shadows, you roar to the stink. Let none say the rat prince was idle. Your grandmother throws a boot at you from the window. You consider that a blessing. Your enemies are not named. Not yet. You don't know if there's sickness or silence or just boredom with a black hood. But you're ready, or you will be, because tomorrow is Plague Day. You invented Plague Day last week. It's your favorite holiday. No school, no chores, and the whole point is to yell at invisible enemies and practice, dying dramatically in haystacks. Today, you add a new ritual. Mushroom tea. You found the mushrooms behind the compost heap. They glow slightly in the moonlight and smell like wet parchment. This means they're magical, probably. You boil them in a tin cup, stir with your royal spoon, and sip with the caution of someone who's eaten a toad for science. The taste is terrible. The visions are immediate. You see a world of rat towers. You see the moon winking. You hear a voice, deep, old, and possibly a neighbor shouting, say, "Claim your crown, plague rat prince." You wake up in a barrel. It is still nighttime. Balthazar is sitting on your chest, looking annoyed. You apologize. He accepts by licking your eyebrow. You stagger into the square, whispering to lamplight, and declare that you have seen the future. No one hears you except the rats. They pour from drains and doorways, from roofs and crates, dozens of them, then hundreds. They gather at your feet and wait. You raise your spoon, "My people," you whisper. "We ride at dawn." You don't sleep. You organize. You plot. You sharpen sticks and assign names to the wind. You give titles to pebbles. One is now Grand Vizier of Muck. Another is High Cheese Marshal Dot. At first light, you march to the chapel. The priest sees you and locks the door. You knock with authority. He peeks through the slit. "What now?" He sighs. "I demand a blessing," you declare. He opens the door slightly. For what purpose? War, you reply. And also a piece of bread. He gives you the bread and mutters a short prayer in Latin. You thank him with a salute and a handful of imaginary rat medals. On the way back, you see the village healer standing in her doorway, watching the sky. She is old and folded like dried herbs, but she nods at you when you pass. Got your rat crown on, I see, she says. Yes, you answer. It keeps the sickness away. She laughs, a dry sound like snapping sticks. If only it were that easy. You offer her a spoon. She declines politely. You return to your fortress to find a tragedy. The barn is empty. The rats are gone. Balthazar paces in circles, frantic. You feel a chill. Then you see it. On the barn wall, drawn in soot, or worse, a crude skull. A warning. You clutch your spoon and whisper to the wind, who dares? Later that day, news spreads. The next village over has burned its granary and drowned its cats. People are acting strange, lighting incense, sealing windows, whispering. To garlic like it's a Saint Dot. Your mother packs a bag. Your father mutters about leaving. You tell them the rats will protect you. They look at each other with faces made of worry. That night, Balthazar doesn't sleep. Neither do you. You sit, in silence, staring at the barn wall, where the soot skull waits. A challenge. In the morning you find 3 dead rats in the square. You bury them with honors in the garden. You build a tiny shrine of spoons and onion skins. You cry a little. Balthazar rests his head on your hand. You vow revenge. The baker's boy sees you sharpening sticks and says, "You look like a weirdo." You tackle him into a hay pile and declare him an enemy of the state. You don't let him go until he apologizes to the memory of General Whiskers. You are more than a nuisance. Now, you are a movement. Other children start watching you. One gives you a beetle in tribute. Another draws a rat in charcoal on the bakery wall. You nod solemnly and say, "You may speak." Word spreads that you talk to rats and that the rats talk. Back, one old man says, "You're cursed." Another says, "You're blessed." The priest says, both might be true. At supper, your mother tells you not to eat with your hands. You say you're saving your hands for war. Your father sighs and refills his cup. Your grandmother passes you a chicken leg and calls you Little Doom. You sleep that night with your spoon in one hand and Balthazar in the other. The dreams are strange. You walk through a city made of bones and cheese. You see a crown floating in the air. You hear thunder, no coughing, then silence. When you wake, the sky is red. Your father is already packing. Your mother is crying. Your grandmother is painting symbols on the door with lamb's blood. The plague has reached your village. People whisper it moved faster than fire, that it rides the wind, that it flies on black wings or crawls on rat feet, that it was summoned. They glance at you when they say this. You stand in the square with your spoon and your crown of bones. Balthazar is on your shoulder. The crows are circling above. The rats are watching. And you know what you must do. You must become the legend. You must become the storm in the cellar. You must become the plague rat prince. You rise before the sun, heart pounding like a warning bell. The village is too quiet. No roosters crow, no goats argue. Even the wind has gone soft, like it's holding its breath. Balthazar scurries along your shoulder, twitching like he knows. Something is coming. You whisper to him, "Today we defend the realm." He answers by licking your ear and sneezing. You nod solemnly. You dress for battle. Your finest cloak, the tattered potato sack, now painted with ash runes. Your crown, bone and beetle shell. Your weapon, the mighty spoon, freshly sharpened on the whetstone behind the butcher's shop. You name it, Spoon Scourge. You whisper to it. It does not whisper back. Yet the village is gathering in the square. But not for market, not for song. No one brings bread. No one brings smiles. They bring only sacks, ropes, and that grim set of shoulders that says they're ready to abandon everything. Families are leaving. Doors are shuttered. A man sharpens a pitchfork. A woman clutches a crucifix so hard it bites her palm. The plague is no longer rumor. The smith's youngest gone by dawn. The shepherd's wife cold by midday. A coughing child clutches her doll and stares into nothing. You try to smile at her. She does not blink. Someone mutters, "The rats brought it." Another says, "No, the prince." They mean you. You feel Balthazar tense against your chest. You wrap your hand around him. "Not today," you whisper. "Not without a trial." The priest climbs the well and raises a hand. "Good folk," he begins, "we must act swiftly. We must cleanse what we can, burn what we must, and seal what cannot be saved." Someone shouts, "Start with the rats." Another, "Start with the boy." Your mother tries to speak, but your father stops. Her, you see it in their eyes, fear and something worse out. You want to scream. You want to shout that you've only ever played with spoons and shadows. The Balthazar is clean, that you're not the one bringing death but the one fighting it. But then you do something better. You climb the well. You stand beside the priest. Raise Spoon's corge to the sky and bellow, "I am the plague-wrapped prince, and I do not fear the plague, the fire, or your pointy sticks." There is silence. Then someone throws a turnip. You duck. Trial by cheese. You yell. No one laughs. The priest puts a hand on your shoulder, gently, firmly. "Child," he says, "we must take your rats." "No, you say they're not rats. They're scouts." The priest sighs. "Then they'll scout their way into the river." You draw a line in the dirt with your spoon. "They are mine." He leans close. "You'll be mine too if you don't leave this place." Now you look at your army. Balthazar on your shoulder. The crows circling above. Sir Snoutington somewhere. Behind the sty, and the rats peeking from roofs and gutters, watching, waiting. You nod. "I'll go," you say. But not far. That night you don't sleep in the coop. You don't sleep at all. You march to the old granary on the hill bordered, abandoned, and covered in ivy and claim it as your new castle. You plant your flag in the grass. You gather wood and light a fire. You chew stale bread. You draw maps in the dirt and write letters to no one. "Dearest shadows, the humans have gone mad. We shall form a new alliance, one made of whiskers and teeth. Yours in mould, HRH, the Rat Prince. You dig a trench. You name the trench Doubt. You stand in it and declare war on despair. Then you fall asleep in it and wake up covered in ants. The next morning, your army begins to grow. 2 village boys, Wilkin and Hob, arrive, carrying a chicken leg and a question. "You really talk to rats?" asks Hob. "Only when they make sense," you reply. They look at each other. "We want in." Unite them both with the spoon and declare them guardians of the garlic gate. They don't know where the gate is, but they're thrilled. By week's end, your kingdom is full of refugees. not from the plague, but from boredom. For more children arrive with cloaks made of grain, sacks, and weapons made of broom handles. One girl brings her baby goat and names it Commander Squeak. You give her a bar of soap and call her Duchess of Disease Prevention. You start writing laws. Article 1. No shouting unless it's strategic. Article 2. Cheese is currency. Article 3. Plague masks are mandatory. You make them out of bark and string. Article 4. Never trust a cat. Each child must swear an oath. I shall uphold the honor of the spoon, the silence of the cellar, and the secrets of the squeaking kind. You print this on leaves and nail it to the granary door. By the second week, your kingdom has a flag mud handprint on linen, a currency button and beetle exchange, and a navy 2 barrels in the stream. You name the barrels HMS, Bubonic, and Hums. Don't ask. You declare the granary a sovereign nation. The village does not respond. You interpret this as respect, then trouble. You wake to find the chickens missing, feathers scattered, spore in the mud. You consult Balthazar. He sniffs the air, you sniff it too. Fear and fennel. You've smelled it before. A rival. You summon your court and declare, the bread thieves are back. Everyone gasps, mostly because they don't know who the bread thieves are. You never explained. They are masked, they are fast, and they steal from the grain stores. Of children, you growl. Wilkin nods, like squirrels. You slam your spoon on a rock. Worse, they bake the bread and eat it in front of you. This cannot stand. You form a strike squad, yourself, Hob, Duchess, Squeak, and Balthazar. You paint stripes on your faces with soot and declare it stealth makeup. You march into the village at dusk, silent as moths, moths with spoons. You crawl beneath fences, dodge adults, avoid coughing zones. At last, you reach the baker's new storehouse. Inside, bread, loaves, and loaves, stacked like a throne. You are betrayed by your own gasp. The baker's apprentice appears from behind a barrel. He holds a rolling pin. You hold your spoon. There is only one outcome. You duel. It is not elegant. It is not strategic. It is rolling pin versus spoon, flour versus fury. You shout battle chants in Latin you made up. He throws dough, you dodge. Balthazar bites his ankle. Victory is yours. You escape with 2 rolls and a bruised elbow. You call it the second sack of Breadtopia. You return to the granary a hero. You divide the spoils. You hold a feast. You call it the feast of soot and spores. Everyone eats, laughs, and scratches flea bites. That night, you stand on the granary roof with Balthazar and look out at the horizon. You see torches in the distance, smoke, another village, burning. You grip your spoon, they'll come for us. You whisper, Balthazar squeaks, we'll be ready. And deep in the barn, under the old wheelbarrow, something stirs. 2 eyes, yellow. Whiskers, and a whisper in the night. Long live the prince. You dream of fire, not the kind that warms, the kind that eats, the kind that dances through villages with too many names and too few survivors. You wake in the granary, gasping, your blanket twisted like a noose. Balthazar is already awake, perched on your chest, staring toward the door. You whisper, it's coming, isn't it? He chitters once, and for the first time, it doesn't sound like mischief. The village sends no word, but you see the smoke curling beyond the ridgeon, other hamlet devoured. It's not the rats, it's not even the plague. Not really. It's fear, a deeper sickness, and it's spreading faster than fleas. You summon your council, Wilkin, Hob, Duchess Squeak, and the girl who insists her goat can smell lies. Commander Squeak stands beside her, chewing your map of the forest. Sir Snoutington arrives late, covered in soot and inexplicably wearing a thimble as a helmet. You commend him for style. You raise spoons corged like a scepter. The time has come, you say, voice rough from ash and shouting. We cannot wait for the world to fix itself. We must ride. Ride where? Asks Hob, chewing a turnip. To the edge, you say. To the heart of this shadow, to where the sickness began. Wilkin frowns. Isn't that ... bad? You slam your spoon against the wall. Everything is bad. That's why we must go. They murmur among themselves. Commander Squeak sneezes twice. Finally, Duchess Squeak speaks. What if we don't come back? You look at her, the only one besides Balthazar who never flinches when you talk about death. Then we go anyway, because no one else will. That settles it. You prepare for war. Your Navy HMS, Bubonic and HMS, Don't Ask is converted into a supply fleet. They carry dried roots, stolen candles, garlic, stolen garlic, and 3 mouldy apples named Blight, Woe, and Derrick. You wear your ceremonial. Bones. Hob ties feathers into his hair. Wilkin sharpens a ladle. Sir Snoutington dons 2 thimbles and declares himself double-knighted. You march at dusk, the granary behind you smouldering like a hearth that no longer welcomes sleep. The sky is bruised purple, and the crows fly low. Your destination, the hollow. Man's Wood, no one goes there. Which is why you must dot the stories, say it's where the Black Death first touched your valley. A merchant rode through once, coughing into his cloak. By the time he left, 3 villagers were gone. They found his cart overturned in the woods, covered in claw marks, or script. No one looked close enough to know. You march in silence. Even Hob, even the goat, only the wind speaks. And sometimes it sounds like your name. You camp in a thistle patch. You dream again, this time. You are not you. You are Balthazar. You are teeth and whisker and bone. You see the world in heat and movement. You taste disease in the air like copper and rosemary. You run along beams, sniffing out sorrow. You see humans like shadows, soft, loud, blind, except one. One shadow burns. One boy smells of fire and hope and old bread. You wake shaking. The goat is chewing your shoe. The forest watches. You press forward, deeper into the hollow man's wood. The trees here do not sway. They lean, moss hangs like morning banners. Spores float in shafts of dusty light. Everything smells wrong. Not dead, not alive, just forgotten. You find the cart at midday. Wheels snapped, canvas rotted. The wood is etched with something that might be symbols, might be claw marks, or might be what fear looks like if you carved it with a rusty nail. Balthazar hisses. Sir Snoutington buries himself in leaves. Hob throws a rock and says, "We claim this cart in the name of the Rat Kingdom." You say nothing, because you see the footprints, not human, not beast, just shapes, pressed into the mud like stories you're not supposed to read. They circle the cart, then vanish into the trees. You follow, you find the circle of stones, 13 of them, blackened, still warm. A smell like burnt time and secrets clings to the clearing. At the center, a man, or what used to be. His cloak is patched with fur and feathers. His hands are stained red. His face is hidden beneath a mask, long-snouted, bird-like, with a beak stuffed full of dried herbs. The plague mask. You've seen it in stories, drawn on walls, scribbled by children trying not to die. But it doesn't belong to a healer. This man is no doctor. You see it in the stillness, in how even the flies avoid him. You step forward. He does not move. Are you the hollow man? You ask. He tilts his head, slowly, like he's remembering how. You grip your spoon. We've come to stop the plague, he speaks. His voice sounds like smoke crawling through gravel. You are late, you blink. Late for what? The feast. He raises his arms. The air thickens. Spores bloom from the stones. Your friends cry out. You feel something push against your skin, your thoughts, your breath. You scream, retreat. But the forest closes. The trees creak with laughter. You grab Balthazar and run. You do not look back. The forest lets you go, but not kindly. You burst into a clearing, coughing, bleeding, burning. Your friends stagger behind you. Hob is limping. Duchess Squeak carries the goat like a wounded knight. Sir Snoutington is missing his thimble. You collapse beneath an oak and stare at the sky. I don't think that was a man, Wilkins says, voice thin. You nod. I think it was the plague. But the plague doesn't wear masks, Hob mutters. You look down at your spoon. It's blackened, as if it touched fire. The goat sneezes. You know what must be done. We ride to the abbey. Everyone groans. You stand. They have relics, books, holy water, maybe even answers, Wilkin mutters, or monks. You raise your spoon, then let the monks prepare, for we bring questions and goats. They do not cheer, but they follow, because you are still. The prince and the rats still watch. You reach the abbey by moonlight. It is tall, silent, and broken. Half its roof is gone. A bell swings with no sound. Inside, candles flicker. A monk steps forward. He's young, pale, with bandaged fingers and eyes like storm clouds. You shouldn't be here, he says. You step forward. We are the children of the granary. We fought. The bread thieves. We survived the hollow man. We demand answers. The monk looks at Balthazar, then at you. Then come in, plague rat prince. He smiles, but it is not kind. The monk leads you through the crumbling abbey, his sandals whispering across the stone like secrets being passed between ghosts. You keep your eyes wide, spoon tighter in your hand than ever. Even Balthazar seems uneasy, twitching and nestling deep into the folds of your cloak. You do not blame him. This place smells like wax, rot, and wet parchment knowledge long buried, and bodies barely. Is it true you fought the hollow man? The monk asks, not turning around. We survived him, you say. That's not the same. The monk chuckles. Dry as burnt bread. You're right, most don't. The abbey is stranger inside than it looked from the path. The ceiling arches too high, as if the builders expected angels to pass through daily. The paintings on the walls are flaking, but the eyes in them still follow. Old saints, pale and frowning. Scrolls are piled in buckets, bones in baskets. Someone has been reorganizing the dead by height, Sir Snoutington, ever brave, peas on a pillar. The monk does not notice. Or maybe he does and simply accepts it. You pass through an archway into a great hall lit only by hanging lanterns. Figures in brown robes line the walls, their faces masked by veils soaked in vinegar and thyme. Their hands twitch in their sleeves. Their silence feels louder than bells. These are the archivists, says your guide. They remember. You nod. Good, because we need remembering. He leads you to a round table made of stone, cracked straight through the center. In the middle rests a book, bound in rat hide and smelling of long-dead things. The monk gestures to it. This is the Liber Verminum, the Book of Vermin. Sounds promising, mutters Hob. Few know what the plague truly is, says the monk. Some say it is punishment. Others say it is nature. But the book speaks of a third thing. He opens it. The pages creak. Tell us, you whisper. The monk points. The drawings are crude stick figures in masks, rats the size of cows. A man whose shadow turns into smoke. The hollow man was not the first, he says. There were others, hosts, plague bearers, not monsters, not devils, just ... carriers. Chosen, maybe. Cursed, certainly. You read the words. You wish you didn't. Some are in Latin, others in symbols that look like dancing teeth. Where does it come from, you ask? The monk looks you dead in the eye, from the dark under the world, from where things go to be forgotten, from places that should not breathe. You hate how well that makes sense. Why rats? Asks Duchess Squeak, stroking Commander Squeak's ears. Because they listen, the monk replies. Because they carry what we throw away. Because they go where we won't. Your hand tightens around Balthazar. He shudders once, then stills. Are you saying the rats aren't to blame? You ask. The monk leans in close. I'm saying the rats are the messengers, and messengers always serve something. Behind you, one of the hooded archivists makes a noise, a dry hiss, or maybe a sob. You're not sure which would be worse. Suddenly, Hob jerks forward, eyes wide. Where's Wilkin? You spin. He's gone. You run back through the archway, through halls that now seem longer than before. The shadows crawl faster. The candlelight has turned to a flicker. You find his cap in the stairwell, still warm, and something else scratches. In the wall, claw marks. Not rat, not human. You turn to the monk. Where does this lead? He hesitates. The catacombs. Of course it does. You don't wait. You descend, one hand on the wall, one hand on the spoon. Hob and Duchess Squeak follow. Sir Snoutington growls. Balthazar, Tenses. Below the abbey is another world. Stone tunnels, bones in shelves. A smell of damp, parchment and regret. You pass a skeleton in a robe. It bows slightly as you go. Or maybe that's the torchlight playing tricks. You're not sure which would be worse. You find Wilkin at last, standing unharmed, staring into a well carved into the stone floor. A dry well, no water, just darkness. He doesn't look at you when you call his name. He speaks, but it's not his voice. It's waiting. You step forward, slowly. What is? The deep plague, Wilkin whispers. The one beneath the breath. The one that eats noise. It's not done yet. You reach him. He turns. His eyes are wrong, black-ringed, stretched. You raise your spoon. He blinks. They're gone. He falls into your arms, sobbing. I didn't mean to listen, he says. It called. I heard it. You look into the well. Something breathes. Not wind, not echo. Just breath, slow, wet, patient. You leave the catacombs. The monk does not follow. When you reach the surface, the archivists are gone. So is the book, so is your goat. You bury the name Liber Vermin into your memory and add it to your list of enemies. Somewhere between the hollow man and whoever invented onions. That night you do not sleep. None of you do. Wilkin shakes with dreams. Balthazar curls into your neck and won't stop twitching. You stare at the stars and wonder if they're sick, to dot by morning. You know what must be done. We go back to the village, you say. Everyone groans. We must warn them. The plague is not just a sickness. It's a door, Hob says. What kind of door? The kind something wants to come through. You march by noon. The air is heavier. The crows follow again, but now they're silent. When you reach the village, everything is worse. Houses boarded, smoke rising, too quiet too. Late your mother finds you first. She holds you like you're made of mist and iron, and something precious that refuses to break. Your father won't look at you. The village priest is missing. In his place stands a new man, tall, cloaked, hooded. No mask, just a smile that doesn't match his eyes. You smell vinegar. He speaks like he owns the silence. I've heard of you. You stare. I've heard of you too. He tilts his head. Have you? You point your spoon at him. You're not the cure. No, he says. I'm the next stage. Behind him, villagers stir. They carry torches. They wear masks. No, but not for safety, for fear. He's convinced them that the rats are to blame, that you are to blame. You. Take a step back, then another. The man's eyes narrow. Run, little prince, he says. You don't, you shout. To the granary. Your army runs, so do you. Not from fear, from fury. The village follows behind them. Behind it all, behind every cough and flame and whisper you. Feel it, the deep breath beneath the earth, and the truth you dare not speak. It is not coming, it's already here. The granary doors groan shut behind you. You slam the crossbar into place just as the first stones hit the walls. Outside, villagers scream words they don't understand, carrying torches like guilt they're desperate to pass along. The air smells of fear and fermented oats. Inside, it's dark. The rats gather. Hundreds now. You've never seen this many. They line the beams, the barrels, the floor, as if called by something deeper than sound. Some bear scars, some have missing eyes or strange lumps like forgotten secrets, but all are waiting. All are still. Balthazar sits on your shoulder, silent. You don't know who is leading who anymore. Hob paces. What do we do, then? Fight them all. They're our neighbors. Wilkin hugs his knees. They're not themselves. No, you. Say, but neither are we. Your voice is steady now, ironed flat by ash and knowing. You stare at the spoon in your hand. It's cracked at the base, singed at the tip. It's survived fires, plagues, duels, and one very angry goat. It'll do. You raise it. The rats don't cheer, they just watch. You speak anyway. We've been blamed, called, cursed, called vermin. But we've also seen what's coming, what's under the skin of this plague. We've looked into the well, and come back with splinters in our minds. And now, you glance at the barred doors. They want to burn what they don't understand. You look at Duchess Squeak, but they can't burn truth. Hob mutters. They can try though. You nod. Then we teach them what burns back. You order the navy readied. Hums Bubonic and HMS Donas are already floating in the millpond behind the granary, strung together with twine and hope. The girls ready the garlic slingshots. Wilkin prepares his stink bombs, fermented fish guts, and old apothecary herbs in glass vials. You light the emergency candles, the ones from the plague shrine, the ones that burn green outside. Footsteps surround you. They begin to chant, not words, just one sound, a long, low note like the wind caught in a dead man's throat. The new man stands before the door. He does not shout, he simply knocks once. The wood buckles twice. The hinges creak thrice. A crack appears, running down the middle like a lightning bolt, trying to remember where to land. You raise your spoon. Plan F, you whisper. Wilkin winces. What happened to a through E? We used them poorly, right? You kick open the back hatch. The granary floods with rats. They don't fleed, they charge. A tide of fur and teeth and memory. They move past you like wind, over the fields, between the legs of stunned villagers. The first few torches fall. Screams echo. The new man doesn't move. You and your crew follow. You ride the navy across the mill pond, the boats wobbling under the weight of 7 children, 3 rats with attitude, a stolen candelabra, and Sir, snouting to new, now wears 2 new thimbles and a sardine tin as a chest plate. The villagers regroup at the center of the square, trying to circle the new man. He raises a hand. The fires go out, all of them at once. The sky shudders, the wind stills. Something breathes beneath your feet. Wilkin, you whisper, throw the He hurls it. It hits the ground at the man's feet and bursts into a cloud of green, fishy horror. The crowd reels. The man inhales deeply and smiles wider. This is not your village anymore, he says. This is the feast. He steps forward, and where he walks, the cobblestones crack. You raise your spoon, you charge. He doesn't flinch. You swing. The spoon meets something soft, then hard, then wrong. It snaps in half. He catches both pieces. Cute, he says. Let me show you real hunger. From beneath his cloak, something uncoils. It's not a weapon, it's not a limb, it's a shadow, a living, slithering piece of night. It wraps around your waist, lifts you off the ground, and hurls you into the bakery. The wall collapses. You hit flour and silence. Your ears ring, your ribs burn. And then you laugh, because of course you'd end up in the bakery, the place you were first banned from, the place where the dough came alive. You stagger upright, coughing dust in the corner. Something glows, a loaf, not just any loaf. The forbidden bread, the one the baker tried to burn when he caught it. Twitching, it survived. It pulses now with something ancient. You pick it up, it hums. Outside the villagers begin to scream in a new key. You step out, you're limping, covered in flour tart, hair, wild eyes on fire. In your hands, bread and fury. The man turns. What is that? He sneers. You grin. Lunch. You throw it. The bread hits him in the chest and explodes into a cloud of light. White dot. Blinding. Holy. The villagers fall back. The rats howl in chorus. The man staggers. His shadow shrieks. You don't wait. You charge. Again, this time with half a spoon and all the rage, the plague, forgot to kill. You leap. He raises his hand. You duck. You strike. Right. In the throat. He doesn't bleed. He exhales. Spores. They coat your skin. Your eyes. Your mouth. You scream, not in pain. In defiance. You feel the world slipping. The ground shifts. The sky cracks. You fall into something deeper than earth, into something colder than the grave. You wake in a room you do not know. Stone walls, no windows, a single candle flickering. Balthazar sits on your chest, licking your nose. You sit up. You're in the granary, or what's left of it. The roof is gone. The the walls, cracked, but it's quiet. You crawl outside. Ash drifts through the air like slow snow. The village is not gone, but it's changed. The man is gone. Only his cloak remains, pinned to a tree with a broken ladle. The villagers are sleeping in piles, like children too tired to cry. You walk through them, you find Hob curled in the mill, Wilkin in the well bucket, Duchess Squeak in the priest's robe, holding the goat like a relic. They are alive. So are you. You look at the sky, it looks back. You whisper to it, "You'll have to try harder next time." It doesn't answer, but you feel it listening. Always listening. The village wakes slow, groggy, as though it swallowed night like soup. Children blink, as if light is something they've forgotten. Mothers touch their cheeks to make sure they still have them. Fathers speak names aloud just to hear something. Human, you don't speak. You watch. The man with the smile is gone, but the silence he left still hangs between chimneys and wells like old laundry. Do you think he died? Hob asks, voice hoarse. You shake your head. No, I think he moved on. To where? To whoever coughs next. Wilkin is different. He's quieter, still rubs his eyes every 10 minutes like trying to wipe off dreams. At dawn, he asked you if shadows can bleed. You told him, maybe, if they eat enough. He didn't like that answer. No one talks about the bread explosion, or how your spoon snapped mid-swing, or why, after all that, you now smell faintly of roses and smoke. Instead, the villagers build a new fire and ask what comes next. You don't know, but your rats do. They've started digging, not aimlessly, with purpose, around the old bell tower, under the roots of the thorn tree, by the abandoned cheese shed. It's like they're drawing a map no one taught them, tracing veins under the village's skin. You follow. You and Duchess, Squeak and Hob and Wilkin and even Sir Snoutington, who's begun wearing a feather in his tin hat like a knight who lost the joust but married the princess anyway, at the thorn tree. The earth is soft. You dig and find bones, but not human, long, narrow, bent like regret. One has a bite mark shaped like a child's jaw. You turn to Balthazar. He looks away. You say nothing. You all keep digging. 3 days pass. The air thickens again. Not with plague, with possibility. People have started whispering the word miracle. They light candles in the bakery where you threw the bread. They call it the blessing of the loaf. Some say the man with the smile was a devil. Others say he was a test. You keep your mouth shut, not because you don't know, but because you do. You've started dreaming in smells, vinegar, blood, thunder. In those dreams, the hollow man stands behind doors made of lungs and whispers, not yet. On the 4th day, the rats find the door, buried behind the mill, beneath 5 bricks and a barrel of spoiled plums. A round iron hatch with a symbol carved in rust, a rat curled into a spiral. Its tail, a dagger. Wilkin says it looks like a coin, minted in madness. Hob calls it a mistake. You say nothing. You open it, inside. Stairs, always stairs. You go down, no one tries to stop you. That's how far things have come at the bottom. A tunnel not carved, melted, stone walls, smooth and slick, like something breathed too hard. The air is wet. Every footstep sounds like an apology you didn't mean. You walk for an hour, then find the table, round, wooden, covered in teeth, not placed there, grown, and around it sit 13 chairs, all empty except one, a child, no older than you, dressed in rags of velvet and wax, face hidden behind a mask shaped like a possum skull, fingers stained with soot. She raises a hand. You stop, she speaks. You're late, you say. I wasn't invited. She shrugs. Neither was I, but here we are. You step forward. Who are you? She tilts her head. The feast. You narrow your eyes. What does that mean? She gestures at the table. You've heard the phrase, feed the plague. Yes, you nod. Well, this is where it dines. She tells you stories, in riddles, about cities that vanished not in fire, but in silence, about saints who cured disease by becoming it, about children born with no eyes, only mouths. She speaks of a place beneath Europe, older than bones, where the rats go to pray and the gods eat noise. You ask what the plague really is. She says it's hunger with a name. Is it alive? You ask, she shrugs. Is wind alive? Is rot? You grip your spoon handle tighter. She eyes it. You'll need something better. She says, then she does something unexpected. She removes her mask. Her face is yours, but older, scarred eyes, ringed with ash and smoke. She doesn't smile. She leans in close and whispers something. It's not words, it's a sound, like a rat choking on a prayer. Then she vanishes. You wake above ground. In your own bed, the iron hatch is gone. So is the tunnel. Your boots are still wet. Your spoon is gone in its place, a dagger curved like a rat's fang. You hold it. It feels familiar. The rats avoid it. You don't. You name it. Second bite. That night, the sky turns green, not from storm, from sickness. It pulses like it's breathing. The crows fall silent. The air tastes of pennies. Wilkin comes to your door. I think the hollow man's back. You rise, dagger in belt, cloak on shoulder, candle in hand. The world waits. You do not at the village square. A fire burns blue, no wood, just cloth robes, the kind worn by archivists, beside the flames. A bundle you approach. It's a baby wrapped in old pages, alive, eyes open, no crying, just watching, dot next to the child. A spoon, your spoon restored, and scorched with new markings. A rat, a spiral, a door. You take it, you whisper to the baby, not yet. You turn, the villagers are watching, all of them. You raise the spoon, then the dagger, then both. I need a map, you say. They nod, you tell them. There are still tunnels beneath us. They nod again, we're not done. A few whisper the name they've given you, Rat Prince. You accept it now. But you know it's just a title, not a shield. The real war is below. The feast never ended. You're just the next course. The tunnels no longer hide. They pulse beneath your feet now, warm and restless, like veins ready to open. You feel them when you sleep. You see them when you close your eyes. The village has stopped pretending. Doors stay bolted after dusk. Candles are lit even at noon. Children speak in whispers and watch the ground more than the sky. You've started wearing the spoon again at your hip. Opposite second bite. Some days it burns cold. Some days it hums like it's remembering something you forgot. You try not to look too long into your reflection anymore. The tunnels have changed you, so has the map. It's not a scroll, it's not ink, it's skin. 13. Villagers have come to you in secret, one at a time, lifting sleeves or hems or necklines to show what's been growing there. Strange lines, spirals, branching paths drawn not with charcoal or quill, but raised into their flesh, as if their bodies are remembering the old. Roads no one remembers drawing them, they match. You trace each one by candlelight. You compare, you redraw on old cloth scraps. Each new line unlocks another direction, another door, another question. The hollow man is not gone. The archivists are not scattered. They, just gone deeper, and they are still hungry. Wilkin has started writing again. His hands tremble when he holds a quill, and his journals now reek faintly of mushrooms and vinegar. But he writes, mostly, lists what people ate before they died, the names of flowers blooming out of graves, dreams he doesn't remember having. Hob is sharpening sticks, he says they're for protection, but they're shaped like symbols, no-spiked spirals, crooked. Forks, things you've seen painted in red on tunnel walls and scratched into the undersides of pews. He doesn't realize he's doing it. You don't tell him. The girls are quieter, more precise. They no longer fling garlic or shoot slingshots for fun. They practice information, whispering numbers under their breath like spells. They've named their team the 12 Teeth. There are only 5 of them. You don't ask. Duchess Squeak has stopped speaking in rhyme. She hums instead, a low tune that makes dogs whimper and milk spoil. You find her outside the baker's house one morning, staring at the oven. She doesn't blink. You ask what she's doing. She says, listening. To what? The bread. Balthazar refuses to go below. He circles your shoulders, but won't follow you past the first step into the tunnels. The other rats are different. They've grown strange. Some twitch when there's no wind. Some stare at walls and never look away. One rat, a small grey lump you call Melvin, has started hoarding teeth, human ones. You asked once where he got them. He dropped them at your feet and walked away. You counted 13. At the edge of the village, you find the new door. It's made of branches and dried nettles, woven so tightly it hums when the wind touches it. The symbol is scratched into the dirt in front of it. The rat spiral, ringed by small, perfect teeth. You knocked at the door opens. Behind it, an archivist, a woman, this time eyes ringed in ink, mouth sewn shut with wire dot. She bows, steps aside. You do not hesitate. You enter. The tunnels below are different, older. They smell of wax and smoke, and something too sweet to be natural. The air pulses as you walk. You count your heartbeats and realize the tunnel is counting with you. Inside, walls are covered in stitched VELLUM pages of skin. They read not blank. You read them not with your eyes, with your tongue. The air tastes like story, like every secret a dying man whispered into the dirt. You lick your teeth and taste betrayal, famine, hornet stings, old gods that were once doors. You pass the first 3 archivists. None speak. They carry candles stuck in the mouths of small skulls. You carry your spoon, and second bite, you come to the chamber. 13 arches, 13 THRONES, 12 filled, 1 empty. They nod when you enter. You recognize some faces. The priest who vanished last winter. The merchant who claimed he was leaving for Paris. The girl who drowned when you were 6, now dry and older than time. They do not greet you. They begin to chant. Not words, just that same awful hum, the one the hollow man left behind. It sinks into your skin like oil. You do not cover your ears. You listen. And when the 13th throne groans, when the stone starts to crack and hiss and bloom like a scar. You step forward, you offer your hand. The throne accepts it. You don't sit, you grip the back with both hands and speak. The feast isn't finished. They stop humming. You go on. There's a city to the east, built on plague pits. They burn the sick in lime and tell the rats to stay away. But the tunnels reach there. I've seen the maps. A woman with silver stitches across her scalp leans. Forward, they will resist. You nod, then we'll unmake them. Another archivist speaks, his mouth is missing, but the words come anyway, falling from the air like soot. What will you need? You hold up your spoon, and your dagger, and your map made of skin. Acquire. The next morning, you're back above ground. The village is watching you again. You say nothing. You pull up your sleeves, your arms now marked with the tunnel lines. They ripple when you breathe. Hob falls in beside you. Wilkin hands you a new journal, blank, but warm. Duchess Squeak wears a crown of mouse bones. The girls hum in unison. Sir Snoutington has a sword now. It's made from a rusted chisel, and he drags it with pride. Balthazar sits on your shoulder, still unwilling to go below, but unwilling to leave you either. You look east. The wind carries with it a whisper. Not words, not plague, hunger. You nod. The rats gather. The sky clouds dot you walk. The feast is coming, and this time it has a name. The road east doesn't begin with a gate. It begins with a silence, the kind that waits for permission to scream. You lead them single file through frost-stiff fields and hedges that bristle when you pass. Nothing sings, not birds, not wind even. The sheep turn their eyes and chew faster, like they know something is riding your heels. Your army is not large, but it is loud in the places. No one listens. Hob sharpens sticks and teeth. He wears a stolen helmet from a dead crusader's garden, and calls it his thinking pot. It's never helped, but no one tells him. Wilkin writes. Always. The journal's pages are no longer white. They've gone yellow-grey, like old parchment or stained teeth. The ink smells faintly of clove and vinegar. He says the pages sometimes write back. The girls, the 12 teeth, practice their formations in ditches and on rooftops. They don't speak unless absolutely necessary. When they do, it's in riddles and click-click tones, like rats warning of poison. Duchess Squeak keeps humming. She never stops anymore. The tune has grown elaborate. Sometimes the trees hum with her. Sir's armor has doubled. Thimbles, old belt buckles, a ladle strapped to his chest. He no longer runs, he clanks. But he stands at your feet every morning like a knight pledging fealty. And Balthazar, he sleeps, and when he dreams, he growls. On the 5th day, you reach the old abbey, not marked on any map, but the rats knew it leans into a cliff like it's hiding from something, long since abandoned by monks, birds, and light. Ivy climbs where bells once rang. A prayer wheel still turns in the wind clockwise, slow, whispering syllables too old for Latin. Inside. The altar has been moved, not destroyed, shifted. Underneath, a hatch. You descend. No one asks why. By now, they know the tunnel here is tight, alive. With the breath of stone, the 12 teeth cough once, then fall into silence. Wilkin lights a single tallow stub. Hob hums, a war tune that makes your molars itch. You lead Dot at the base of the tunnel. You find it, a wall of faces, not carved, not painted, pressed, mouths open, screaming into the rock, eyes wide, forever. You reach out. Your fingertips find only stone, but your bones find something else. Grief, the stone remembers screaming. Wilkin opens his journal. They were witnesses. To what? To what you'll do next. Beyond the wall, a door opens without hinges. You find the choir. They are not children, they are not grown. They are robed in sackcloth and crowned in candle wax, mouths sewn, shut with reeds. Instead of eyes, each wears a single sigil burned into their forehead. Spoon, thorn, echo, hunger. They do not speak, they sing. It does not come from their mouths, it comes from somewhere deeper. You feel it behind your teeth. The leader steps forward. Their sigil is yours. Rat spiral, encircling a second spiral. They kneel, then gesture. You step forward and you sing, not because you know the words, because the words know you. The choir joins. The tunnel trembles. Something wakes. Later, when you return. Above ground, Wilkin won't stop shaking. He says the song etched itself into his lungs. He says every time he exhales, he hears another verse. The girls walk in tighter formation now. Hob starts naming shadows. Duchess Squeak gathers dirt from under the altar and sews it into small pouches. You hang one around your neck. It smells of ash and memory. That night, the moon bleeds red. No one is surprised by the 8th day. You reach the outskirts of the city. Not your village. Another one, larger, paved in cobble and denial. No. Smoke rises from chimneys. The streets are swept. Too clean. You send Balthazar ahead. He doesn't come back. You wait an hour, then 2, then enter. The 12 teeth fan out. Wilkin scribbles as he walks, quoting gravestones aloud. Hob lights his spear with pitch. Sir Snoutington climbs into a wheelbarrow and waits to be pushed. You find the first body near the town square, propped up on a bench, eyes wide but blind, mouth stuffed with coins, nose sewn shut, chest carved with a spiral. You check the coins. They are old, too old, stamped not with kings, but with runes. You pocket one. It bites your finger. You bleed. The blood runs black. You say, they're trying to bribe it. Wilkin asks, bribe what? You don't answer. You're not sure yet in the church. The pews have been flipped to face the wall. The pulpit is burned. The holy books are shredded. In their place, spoons, hundreds, all shapes, all sizes, hanging from ropes, dangling above the altar like wind chimes for the dying. They move even without wind. They clink in rhythm, 12 soft chimes, then silence, 12 again. You count them 3 times. Wilkin confirms. 12 chimes, he whispers, and 1. Space missing. You lift your spoon. It does not chime, it hums. The church bell tolls once, then falls. Silent you whisper to your army, we are not alone here. They nod, no one runs, not this time. You find the mouth by accident, at the edge of the graveyard. A hollow in the earth, round and wet and breathing. You feel it before you see it. The grass curves inward, the worms flee it. You drop a stone in no sound. You whisper, should we go in? Hob says, we always do. Wilkin mutters, we never come out the same. Duchess Squeak sings a lullaby in reverse. The 12 teeth descend without orders. You follow inside. It is not a tunnel, it is a throat. The walls flex. You walk on something. Soft, it sighs when you step. Wilkin vomits, you keep moving. You reach a chamber, bones, everywhere. Small ones, rats, birds, babies, The center holds a nest, not straw, hair, human. Woven thick, inside, a girl, no, older than 10, mouth full of maggots, eyes sewn open, alive, breathing. Alive, breathing. She speaks in 100 voices, all at once. All who dig must eat. All who eat must rot. All who rot must return. You raise your spoon and your dagger, she blinks. All who carry the rat shall feast. You charge, you don't know. Why only that you must. She doesn't move. She swells. Her skin splits. Something bigger emerges. Teeth like church doors. Eyes like coin purses. You strike the spoon. Snaps again, but the dagger lands. Second bite sings. She howls, then collapses. The chamber screams. The tunnel shakes. You run, but part of you stays behind. Back above ground, Balthazar returns. He's not alone. Behind him, hundreds of rats, each with a mark on their back. The rats spiral, burned into fur. Branded, they gather round you. You kneel. Balthazar climbs your arm. He whispers. Without words, it's begun. You nod. The hollow man wasn't the end. He was the invitation. Now the feast is hungry, and the choir is singing louder. The city does not fall in a day. It kneels first, with quiet hands and open gates. You arrive not as a child, but as a symptom. Behind you, Wilkin, hobbling, journal flapping like a sick bird. Hob with a spear he now calls spine stabber, Duchess. Squeak crowned in wax and humming like the end of the world. The 12 teeth march in rhythm, faces painted in tunnel ash, fingers twitching with curses. And Balthazar, he rides your shoulder like royalty. Behind him, a legion of rats, marked and waiting. You do not ask permission. You do not explain. The streets make room for you at city center. A great square opens to clean, to quiet, to prepared. A scaffold stands at its heart. 13 wooden chairs, one filled. A man waits, robes of charcoal silk, mask of stitched linen, hands folded in prayer or patience. He looks at you and says nothing. The air around him smells like iron and lilies. You step forward. You don't ask his name. You already know it. Hollow man, not the same one who came to your village, but the same idea, same hunger. He opens his arms like a host greeting guests. Will you eat? He asks. No, you say, I'll feed. He laughs, but it's not joy. It's a graveyard breathing. You draw second. Bite dot, it hums, so does the ground. The first to fall are the statues. Stone saints crumble, eyes popping like boils. Windows scream. In their frames, the scaffold creaks and spills blood from its nails. The hollow man stands. No mask now. His face is made of mouths, each one yours, each one laughing wrong. Wilkin opens his book. Pages flap, wind rises. Words leap from the ink, wrap themselves around his throat, and begin to chant. Hob charges. He does not wait for orders. He never has his spear. Glows faintly, so does his mouth. He strikes the hollow man in the knee. The hollow man does not flinch. He bends down, gently, and whispers into Hob's ear. Hob drops, silent breathing, but changed, you screamed. The kind that curdles milk and shakes bells off towers. The 12 teeth form a circle. They chant a children's rhyme they never learned, but always knew. Duchess Squeak throws a rat into the air. It bursts into light. Balthazar growls. The sky turns the color of bruises. You don't fight like a soldier, you fight like a crack in the earth. Second bite drinks deep, spoon in your other hand. You parry nothing, you disrupt, you ruin. The hollow man begins to flicker. With every cut, he dims. With every scream, he shrinks. He smiles as you gut him, like he's proud, like he's waiting. Then he shudders and vanishes. But he leaves something. Behind the 13th chair, filled by you, Wilkin weeps ink. Hob doesn't speak anymore. But he hasn't stopped guarding you. The 12 teeth dig a circle of bones around the scaffold. Duchess Squeak builds a throne from spoons. You don't sit, you stand on it. You raise your arms, and the rats climb thousands, now maybe more. They carry breadcrumbs, coins, feathers, torn bits of maps, names. You feed them your voice. They echo it, from cellar to bell tower, from well to orphanage. Children emerge first, then the sick, then the archivists, blinking like owls, then those who forgot they were alive. You say we are not plague. You say we are memory. You say we are the feast that walks. And they kneel, not to worship, to listen. Wilkin writes the new map on the city walls. Hob stands watch at the edge of the known world. The girls begin training others. Duchess Squeak is seen in every alley, whispering to bread and buttons. You leave. Not because they ask, but because the tunnels call again. You wear a new cloak, made of stitched rags and tails and prayers. Second bite never dulls. Your spoon is now marked with 7 rings, each one a name that tried to eat you. None of them succeeded. Your journey takes you beneath rivers, across kingdoms, into dreams. You walk through plague camps and find no dead. You sit beside kings and offer no words. You open doors that don't exist and find children waiting. They already know your name. Some call you Rat Prince, some call you King Below, some call you Echoes. End. You accept none. You answer only to the hum, the one beneath all things. The old hunger is still out. They're wearing new faces, writing new lies. But now it knows your name too, and it flinches when you pass. One night, far from any map, you stop. There is a cottage, no chimney, no walls, just a table and 13 chairs, 12 filled. The last one for you, you sit. The faces around you are familiar, not from life, from dreams, from songs. They nod. A child walks in, eyes wide, holding a spoon. She asks, "Am I cursed?" You say, "No." She asks, "Am I a monster?" You say, "Not yet." Then you rise. You hand her your map. She doesn't read it. She bites it and smiles at you. Walk away, second bite, tucked at your back. The feast follows where it always has. In your shadow, in the walls, in the dark between heartbeats. But now it follows on your terms. You who fed the plague its own name. You who turned silence into song. You who were never meant to survive. And yet,